Otherwise, oh, I forgot to tell the podcast, but Nikki and I started watching another anime called The Promised Neverland. It's a little
Intriguing name.
ridiculous. It's a little ridiculous show about 12-year-old kids.
Interesting. Okay.
Essentially, they're raised in what they believe is an orphanage um, all their life up until the age of 6 or 12, I believe. And they're raised by this so-called mother, and she ends up taking every time someone ages up to that age, they quote unquote get adopted, and they are never to be heard of again. So essentially, some of the kids at the orphanage ended up figuring out that they're actually being raised as food, and they're being raised for demons to be eaten. They're being harvested. Their brains are being harvested by demons, and
Damn.
the mother is in on it, and she's there to raise the kids and make sure they're really well, like really well taken care of and all that type of stuff. So the first
Tasty.
season is essentially them figuring that out. I guess I should have said spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Oh well, it's not okay. Sorry, I'll put a disclaimer on the video. Sorry, I should have said that. But it's essentially them figuring it out and then escaping from the orphanage. And it's super cool anime shit that goes on. It's like the level of storytelling in anime has gotten pretty complex, and they do it really well. They always leave you on a cliffhanger, and really they just keep adding thing after thing after thing that, like, you won't believe it now. It's so cool. It's just like all, I don't know if it's, I guess it's sort of like how modern TV shows have evolved, right? Like, they've been able to tell these really engaging stories that keep you coming back for more each episode. And so I think anime has taken a similar turn, although I'm not the, apparently we started watching the second season, and then a lot of people have been telling me this anime is based off of manga, like most anime, and a lot of people have been telling me that the second season is not as good as the manga or whatever. Like, they didn't go through this and this. So I always think that the anime that are the best are the ones that aren't based on manga and have free reign to do what they want within the animation and character design and story development and all that stuff. Like, if you look at Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, I honestly think Evangelion is really one of the best shows, as ridiculous as it is. I think it's a really interesting anime at the very least to watch. And these are the types of shows that I really like, and I think that they were, maybe they're just a phenomenon or something, but I think when you're not writing a manga is typically written, or at least as far as I know, to be serialized and just like continue your story forever and ever and ever, right? And that's why I don't really like a lot of TV shows at all, because they can never end the story, which I think is a satisfying thing. If you look at something like and I guess Evangelion's a bad example because they haven't ended it yet, and it's been like 30 years. But if you look at Samurai Champloo, it's one season, and if you look at Cowboy Bebop, it's one season. They wanted to tell this one story, and it's over, and that's it. So and you can always go back to it. And it has a concise beginning and end. So I think that's a really good way to tell. That is how stories are told. But like, that gives you some sort of satisfaction when you it's like reading a book, right? There's a concise end, beginning and ending. But manga tend to be serialized, and so they can continue selling more and continue doing continuing the story on. Like One Piece
It's like
is
the difference
like 1,000
between
episodes or something.
like I would say like How I Met Your Mother or Big Bang Theory or other like sitcoms.
Yeah.
Like they start making lots of money for the network or whoever, so they keep going, even though the characters get more ridiculous or the quality of the writing goes down, or there's like ideas are really, really low by the end of it, and like everybody slept with everybody's cousin. Whereas you have a story that's like Breaking Bad, which has a very distinct beginning and end point.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly,
it feels like you feel satisfied by the ending. Like you might want more, but
then
it's better to leave with more than to need less.
I think that's an example of a show that that went pretty close to the perfect amount of seasons, right? You can have a show that's just one season, and that's not enough, right, for most people. I think Breaking Bad having 5 seasons gives you enough time to develop this crazy story arc and multiple story arcs within, of Jesse and Mr. White, with Walter White and Skyler, and even Walter's son in that show. And I think it was like the perfect amount of time, one of close to it. If I don't know if I want to say it's perfect or anything, but it's close to a good amount of episodes that there's a lot of meat on that bone, and there's also a lot to dive into, fan theories, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also really well shot, and it's a great show. But otherwise, I haven't really gotten into anything else